Michael Clark for the road trip, coming to you from Ojai, California. And as you can see, we're getting things ready here for the media launch of the Subaru WRX for 2015. And not just the WRX, we're also going to be telling you about the STI, the Ultimate Performance Edition. Now, a lot of people have wondered over the last little while, who exactly is the competitor for the WRX? Well, for many years, it has been the Mitsubishi Evo. But Mitsubishi is now pulling an efficiency card, and they pretty much have said that they're not going to be concentrating too much on their performance side. So who exactly is the competitor for the likes of the WRX and the STI? Well, I would have to say that that competition is coming in a big, strong way from the Ford Motor Company, especially now that the ST branding is globally available on the Focus as well as the Fiesta. There's also a little bit of a German influence too, and when you take a look at new cars such as the CLA, which also have the ability to have all four wheels doing the work, you start to ask yourself, is it maybe time for the WRX to start moving away from what it has made its name with, and that of course is rallying, and moving more towards road courses? And what you need to know, especially about cars like the STI, is that they're really not that far removed from the all-out cars that you would see on the likes of the Nürburgring. So we're wondering exactly how well this car is going to do and who it's going to be competing against as the decade commences. Now, what we're going to do today here in Ojai, California is we're going to be driving the WRX first, and we're going to be taking it down some of the beautiful canyon roads and really finding out how well the car has been tweaked. But that's not all. We're also going to be taking the STI out to the track, and we have some special guests when it comes to showing what this car can really do. Now, if you've got thoughts, feelings, or questions about anything automotive, send an email to steelbeltedmind@gmail.com. Buckle up, it's time for the road trip.
Okay, well, we've always had a lot of success with the WRX and WRX STI in Canada. Has a loyal following, so when we come out with a new car, we want to make sure that we can appeal to them, but also with this new car, we're trying to expand our sales. And, you know, people know Subaru for Outback, Forester, Crosstrek, but really our highest market share is actually in the sports segment. We have about 11% market share between WRX STI, and the BRZ. So that's a huge segment for us, and you know, people are surprised to hear that sometimes, that Subaru does so well with sports cars. So for the WRX, we have a new engine as well. It's a 2-liter direct injection turbo. It is related to the Forester engine, but there's been some enhancements in terms of getting more power of it. So it revs a lot higher, has a different active valve control system, it opens intake and exhaust more. There's been a lot of enhancements to get that power. The exhaust system, of course, is totally different, louder than before, and allows a free-flowing exhaust. With this engine, though, I mean, there's peak torque at 2,000 RPM, 258 foot-pounds from 2,000 right to 5,000. And that flat torque is something we think people will enjoy. As well, we recommend premium fuel, but unlike the past, if you do fill up with regular, the engine will adjust for it. It'll reduce the power a little bit, but if you had to fill up with regular, it's not a problem. You can do that now. With the new WRX, we have actually a new transmission. It's an automatic, and we haven't had an automatic for a number of years. This new automatic is called a Sport Linear Tronic transmission. It is a sports CVT. And you may wonder, what is a sports CVT? Something new, and we present it as a sports transmission. So there's sports sharp mode with 8 virtual gears. It knows when you're turning and like on a twisty road, it'll hold the gear. It can downshift for you very quickly, faster than you could do it yourself. There's also an intelligent mode that allows you to increase your fuel economy if you so feel like. There's also a sport mode, which is kind of a balance between the two, which offers you 6 virtual gear changes as well. And really, we really think that with this transmission, it will appeal to a lot of people that may not just have the patience to drive manual anymore, or also new buyers that may have not been able to get into this car because we've only had manual for so long.
If you're thinking about the ultimate performance expression for the Subaru WRX series, then you must be thinking about the big winged thing. Now, you don't have to get the wing on the WRX STI, but it's kind of a signature element. But let's tell you about what you need to know. Now, the power is a 2.5-liter turbocharged Boxer 4, 305 horsepower, and 290 foot-pounds of torque. The brakes, well, they'll haul you down in a hurry because they're Brembos. Ventilated 4-wheel discs and 4-piston calipers in front with dual piston calipers in the rear. Now, the symmetrical all-wheel drive system, as on any Subaru, is going to help you when traction gets a little light. But remember, this one is geared for extreme performance. You've got the driver-controlled center differential with 3 automatic performance modes, in addition to 6 manual differential locking control settings. Now, the normal torque split is 41% front and 59% rear. There's a helical gear type limited slip front differential and Torsen torque sensing limited slip rear differential. But it's one thing to talk about it, it's even better to see it driven properly. And who better to ask than Tommy Mäkinen, 4-time World Rally Champion and the guest driver brought in by Subaru for this event. And he's done a lot when it comes to driving these particular cars at the edge.
I've been working with Subaru from 2002, and it's been nice to see I've seen 3 different models and how much they're improving model after model. And again, this last 2015 STI seems to be a clear step forward from previous, and it's nice to see I would say what I need to say that Katsuta's team in Japan, they have done a great work. First time I saw the car, it was such a big difference compared, because we did quite a lot drive compare back to back current and new model, and it was so easy to tell different areas were improved. I think it is no difference. Myself or everyday driver, you can easily feel it immediately when you jump to the car. This chassis itself is pretty important, stiffness, and how well stiffness between the front and rear, what is the behavior. That makes the behavior, geometry, suspension geometry, everything. You jump to the car after 100 meters driving, you feel immediately the steering wheel is there, you can feel the front wheels. If it is good package like new 2015, in my opinion, it seems to be like that. A car is a car. It has to be easy, whatever it is. Even the rally car has to be. Very often people think rally car is difficult car to drive, but it's not true. It has to be very, very neutral. It has to be neutral behavior. It has to be kind of car which makes you confident immediately. Then you can play around and go faster and faster. Normal road car, if you manage to build it the same, it is. Everybody enjoy it. Everybody. It makes the car can makes everybody's confidence immediately. Everybody can enjoy the drive it.
So how much does all of this fun cost? Well, The WRX starts at an MSRP of $29,995 in Canada. It tops out with the Sport Tech version at $35,495. The STI starts at $37,995, topping out with the Sport Tech at $44,995. That's an awful lot of fun for not a lot of bread. You're looking at the face of the 2015 Dodge Charger, and if the current version could be described as bad cop, well, let's just say that the 2015 model looks positively Blade Runner. Front sheet metal is all new, as well as the front-rear fascias, front doors, and the racetrack-inspired rear taillight assembly. Like the 2014 Dodge Durango, the LED ribbon of light in the rear is now circumnavigating the surround. Purists will appreciate the retro color palette additions, such as Tor Red and B5 Blue. The annoying tap toggle shifter of the current V6 Fed Chargers is gone, replaced with an electronic floor shifter that thinks it's mechanical in its operation. The new shifter also feeds the Hemi versions, and it's all about the TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic. All Chargers now use the TorqueFlite 8-speed, including all-wheel drive versions with paddle shifters available on select models. Pay attention to the Sport Mode-equipped Chargers. When engaged, transmission shift points, throttle response, and stability controls are modified for more yeehaw. Here comes the 2015 Dodge Challenger, and it'll take a little bit of Mopar know what to figure out what's been changed. Notice the LED tube surrounds for the headlight array. And doesn't that look a little bit like the split grille of a 1971 Challenger? Well, guess what? That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. In fact, there's been quite a few cues from the 1971 Dodge Challenger that have been infused into this update. Well, we still have the shiny fuel cover, gotta have that on a Challenger, but check out the new rear taillight assembly. Oh, and did we mention that the Challenger now has an interior? It's pretty much the Dodge Charger pod, but believe me, we're happy to see it here. Now, if you want to get a little bit more on the old school, you gotta go with the RT. That's a functional shaker option up top for the 5.7 Hemi. Everything else that you like about it, including the 6-speed manual, is still available. Has the thing got a Hemi? Yeah, I think it's got a Hemi. Now let's talk about the monster. The 392 Hemi with 485 horsepower and 475 foot-pounds of torque with a functional shaker hood intake. It can peel off 0 to 60 in about the mid 4 seconds range. But you should also know that the new Pentastar V6 and the TorqueFlite 8, well, they can do it in the low 6 seconds range. Yeah, let's face it, we all want the Scat Pack. Now there's also special interior touches that really kick up the top-end Challengers. And did we mention that even this one has an interior?
So we finally arrived at the Empire State Building to assemble the 2015 50th anniversary Mustang. It's been quite exciting. When we were unloading the truck down in the street with all the cameras around, a lot of people started to come up and ask what we were doing. We then proceeded up through the 4 sets of elevators, including the last one, which is a 36-inch elevator that everything had to fit through.
A young couple just asked me saying, "What are you guys doing here?" And when we explained that we are actually going to put a real Mustang up on the 86th floor of the Empire State Building, they just couldn't believe it. This is not a hoax.
We hoped for warmer weather, but you know, if it's raining, snowing, either way, we're going to be ready to put the car together tomorrow out on the deck.
It's day 2, and this is what we're working with. It's spring in New York, but it's frigid cold. Like the top of a mountain up here. Windy, snowy, sleet. The weather is a challenge today.
We actually did plan for rain. We did plan for wind. I don't think we expected snow. A lot of the deck is actually frozen with the wind and the temperatures, but the crew is up to it, and history is being made as we speak.
So far, so good. I don't want to say too much right now until this thing's together. It looks like they're further ahead than they are. Most of the structure's put together. The fine-tuning is going to be the big part. I have full confidence in them. They're going to make it. Those guys are my heroes right now. They're out there in the cold, cranking away as fast as they can. You got to get this car built and ready for the morning ceremony.
As we worked through the night, the weather started to clear, albeit it was still cold and windy. So I'm very pleased that even though with the adverse weather conditions, we were able to assemble the car without a hitch. We finished about 45 minutes ahead of schedule, and everybody is really excited. And the car just looks fantastic out on the observation deck.
You don't see something like this very often, and the car looks great up here. To recreate what we did, and what a perfect day for it too.
It's like a dream come true. We've been planning, we've been talking about it, we've been drawing to see how all this works, and it has worked wonderful.
It's been an honor to work with Ford in this program. And the Mustang is an iconic brand that we all live and love. They're just a fantastic way to celebrate Ford's 50th anniversary with the Mustang.
Springtime in Canada. Finally, time to get some dry pavement for a change. But it's not just about making noise. The road trip recently attended a very special tire testing event by Cal Tire. It involves the speed rating on your tires. And these particular tires were the S rating as well as the V rating. Now, we didn't go there to find out how fast we could go on them. We went there to find out the differences in tire construction and how upgrading to something like a V-rated tire could mean the difference in an emergency. Alan Sidorov explains.
You know, buying tires is a critical decision in terms of making your vehicle perform better, in terms of keeping it safer. Spending only a few dollars more can move you from stopping reasonably well to stopping very well in an emergency. And if you put that in perspective, that can be slightly raised heartbeat for stopping very well versus trip to the body shop for stopping only reasonably well. The tire is your only contact with the road, and it has such a huge difference, such a huge effect on how the vehicle performs overall. And this is something that is very hard to get across to most consumers because they will not have a chance to do what we're doing here today. They're not going to get the back-to-back test. So we're doing it for them here, but believe me, as a professional driver, as a racing driver, advanced driving guy, these two cars, the one with the better tires, the one with the slightly downgraded tires, could be two completely different vehicles. It's that big a difference in feel and performance.
There are so many numbers and letters on the sidewall of your tire. It can be confusing and intimidating. One letter in particular plays a critical role in your safety and how your vehicle performs. This letter, the last letter, represents your tire's speed rating, but it's actually more about performance, how it dissipates heat, how it corners and brakes, and lets you steer. In fact, your vehicle's suspension has been engineered and calibrated to meet a proper performance rating. Engineers specify a higher rating not for speed, but for better overall performance and safety. performance rating is primarily based on how much the tire distorts when it's subjected to speed, braking, or handling. The rating does not imply how fast your vehicle should be driven. It tells you how it's going to perform. When you use a tire with the wrong speed rating, it's going to flex and squirm under pressure, causing increased heat buildup. Higher temperatures can have a big impact on your tire's performance and durability. You could be risking tire degradation, reduced traction, and even blowouts. With an incorrectly rated tire, you could also be compromising steering response and cornering grip, because low-rated tires have lower quality construction. Under force, a lower-rated tire's shape and its contact patch with the road will change, reducing your traction. When you need to swerve into the right lane to dodge an oncoming hazard, a higher-rated tire will keep its shape so you can change directions without leaving the road. Performance rating also has a huge impact on braking. Low-rated tires do not provide the stability of properly rated tires. In an emergency situation, they'll take a lot longer to stop.
If the tire responds as you wish it to do in an emergency, there's less of a chance that you, the driver, will panic. Sometimes if the tire goes all squishy and wobbly under you when you try and turn hard, it's not particularly reassuring. And oddly enough, that's one time in your life when you need all the positive feedback you can get. You're trying to dodge some possibly death-inducing thing like a moose in the middle of the road. So it's going to have that effect. It's going to give that greater margin of safety, and hopefully you'll never actually have to use it. You'll drive for weeks and weeks, months and months, and nothing will come up which will stress the tires that much. But on the day you need it, you want the tire to be there for you.
Contrary to maybe belief, but in many cases, to increase or ensure that you get the right tire on your vehicle, there's typically not a ginormous amount of price difference. In the examples here with the test that we did today, the tires are only $25 difference per tire to go from the S-rated tire up to the V-rated that came on this particular vehicle. So the price savings versus the safety, I would say safety wins.
And now it's time to take a look at the road trip quick picks for the 2014 New York Auto Show. And we'd have to say we like the Ford Mustang 50th Anniversary Editions. Only 1,964 will be created, and there's only two colors, Wimbledon White and Kona Blue, available. The Ford Focus shows off its new face, which means that it looks like just about everything else in the Ford camp. The 1-liter EcoBoost will be available with a 6-speed manual transmission for the ultimate in fuel sip. The Nissan Murano gets completely redone for the 2015 model year. Now, we'd have to say that the styling is familiar in the sense of the redesigned Nissan Rogue, but inside and out, it definitely is a stunner. It also has the ability for the rear folding seats to be power returned to you without opening the side doors. And it's mid-size mayhem, starting off with the Toyota Camry. Now, it appears to have a slice of Corolla up front with a side plate of Avalon in back, plus a pinch of Lexus spindle grille for the higher performance variant. According to Toyota, the only panel carried over from the previous Camry skin is the roof. The edgier exterior for 2015 marries up to a chassis that has been massaged to do edgier things, with additional spot welds throughout to combat flex and retuned suspension bits. The Camry aims to be your personal cone of silence for 2015. Hey, check out the new charging pad availability. Hey, there's that spindle grille we were talking about. There's also an SE edition for the hybrid. They've also updated the electric power steering for 2015. A little more feel and available LED headlamps. Hey, speaking of headlamps, check out the new ones on the 2015 Hyundai Sonata. Now, it's familiar, but what you're looking at is an interpretation called Fluidic Sculpture 2.0. And we'd have to say that it seems to be borrowing from a lot of vehicles, but it is borrowing some of the best bits. Now, there's going to be an awful lot of technology available inside the new Hyundai Sonata. Things such as blind spot detection, rear cross traffic alert, lane change assist, and a lane departure warning system, as well as forward collision warning and adaptive cruise control availability. The revised cockpit puts key elements within easy reach of the driver, with nary a downward glance required for operation. A D-shaped steering wheel is new, with available heating and improved switchgear. It looks as though the Sonata has drank the human-machine interface Kool-Aid, with priority placed on sensible ergonomics with high-quality touch points throughout. Under the hood, it's still 4-cylinder story, and that means that the high-performance unit is still the turbocharged 2-liter turbo. As you can see, the new center stack design is more about the driver and less about the styling of the car. Hey, if you're thinking about a minivan, well, take a look at what they've done with the Kia Sedona for 2015. Talk about attractive, especially considering that it's following much of the design philosophy of other Kia designs. We'd have to say that so far it's definitely getting our attention, and for a lot of reasons, including the 3.3-liter gasoline direct injected V6 as the power plant of choice. But notice the interior, and as we just showed you on the Sonata, things are getting a lot more driver-centric. But from the front seats forward, the Kia Sedona doesn't even look like a minivan. Now check out the second row seats on this up-level model. They're not just seats, they're Barca loungers. That's right, you've actually got a footrest that can come up and give you a little bit of extra comfort. And there's a sizable third row which folds into the floor, but the second row actually squeezes forward for additional cargo. Oh, hello Miata, 25th anniversary, and they showed off the chassis, the new Sky Active chassis, which should be under a smaller car. Hopefully it looks a little bit like this one. Now, if you really need to massage your scalp and your hair plugs, then you have to consider the Z06 convertible. That is, of course, the Corvette Z06 convertible. And when it comes to anything over the 600 horsepower mark, you want to make sure that the structure is going to be able to handle all of that fun. Well, the good news is that the new structure for the Z06 convertible did not have to be modified like most convertible chassis of the past. That's how strong and robust the new chassis for Corvette, as well as Corvette Stingray, is. The Chevrolet Trax, which has been available globally as well as in Canada, is now going to be available in the United States. Much like the Buick Encore, as well as the Opel Mokka in Europe, the vehicle is going to be using the 1.4-liter turbo. As you can see, it's a little less on the squishy, styly side of the Buick Encore, and we think it's going to appeal to a lot of customers. Oh, by the way, the Chevy Cruze gets a little bit more of a Malibu front end, and there's also 4G LTE capability within, which turns the vehicle into a hotspot for Wi-Fi. Oh, by the way, Camaro wanted to say happy birthday to the Mustang.